So let's talk about the Catholic origins of the Lord of the Rings and other truths about Tolkien, who, of course, was fundamentally religious and admitted this himself. And although the movie, which we all know, is carrying a Catholic environment and showed us some of the experiences that would inspire such writings, it did not show us how deep the Catholic faith of the writer was, and the inspirations which were essential in the creation of this most family-oriented, famous, fabulous book. In fact, his writings are enudited and inundated in allusions of all sorts, such as Catholic beliefs and other pre-Catholic Christian and non-Christians beliefs included in the process of composing such a fabulous work of art. The Denver Catholic spokesman with Joseph Pierce, director of the book publishing group of the Augustine Institute, editor of Faith and Culture series, editor at Ignatius Critical Edition, Matter Manor. He has written several books on Tolkien, including a biography titled Tolkien, Man and Myth, and Frodo's Journey, discover the hidden meaning of the Lord of the Rings with us. Tolkien is what I call a cradle convert, Pierce said. So he's not strictly speaking a cradle Catholic, he's a convert, which in a sense he was received into the church when he was 8 years old, and following the reception of the church of his mother, he remained a practicing Catholic to his death. His mother died when he was only 14 years old, also suffering persecution for becoming a Catholic devout. Something he's always admired about his mom was, in consequence, this conversion of hers in the family that plunged into penury, and Tolkien in his dying day considered his mother a martyr for the faith, Pierce said. Since his father had died when he was 4 years old, priest of the Birmingham Oratory became his legal guardian, Father Francis Morgan. Thus, it is no surprise that this deep Catholic faith was enshrined in his works, yet not a secondary trait, but in such an essential way that made this great book, The Lord of the Rings, a fundamentally religious Catholic work. Here are a few examples. Pierce highlighted that illustrate how Tolkien's Catholicity was the leading factor of the story of the Middle Earth. The ring's destruction and the crucifixion. Tolkien gives the name gave away by allegorically when he was ring destroyed on March 25th, which for the Catholics, this day remarks the solemnity of the Annunciation of the Incarnation of Jesus Christ and his mother Mary. But also traditionally, we in the church believe that this historical date of the crucifixion itself, March 25th, is when Tolkien, who was a medievalist, certainly knew. By connecting the deconstruction, the ring, and the destruction of sin, we can see that the trust in the synonyms was therefore the power of the ring, also referred to as the power of sin. Also, the necessity of bearing consequences of sin sacrificially is very heated. The three Christ figures, Frodo, Gandalf, and Aragorn, or Argarni, the king, Gorn of human realms. One human realm. A few, maybe? Christ, Frodo figure, is a ring bearer in the ring scene, synonymous with sin bearing and ring striking. Christ born, burden, sin carrying the cross. In other words, Frodo, the Christ figure, by carrying burden, sin, Christ carrier's cross. Gandalf, the Christ figure, death, resurrection, and transfiguration. The wizard lays down his map for his friends at the bridge of Chasm Doom, and is later resurrected as Gandalf the White. His transfiguration is inveticent, and partly it was there as for him friend, resurrected as a gentleman, garments so white and dazzling, friends forced to cover their eyes as Gandalf forced his weary grey cloak over the white. Aragorn, the third major Christ figure, because he's the true king, and as a true king, he has the power to descend into the land of the dead and to have power over the dead themselves. The release of the dead from their curse, of course, reminds us of Christ. The souls of every man figure, Tolkien said, the fairy stones, all good stories, hold up to the merit of man. They show us ourselves. Familiar with Faramir, his brother, and Barrymore and Gollum, orcs with a force of the hood. In other words, we wouldn't be telling these small stories, alternative to Boromir's story, if we weren't called to sanctity and perfection by Christ himself. The evil treat with content. Gollum shows up with the happenings of the mind, selfish and prude, prejudice no more, sacrificially othered, because he's too self-obsessed. And in this mode, he gives us a linguistic clue how the Lembra's bread is a figure of one elvish language, Lembra way breed, which reminds of the Actum, the Blessed Sacrament taken to the sick, basically meaning for the way.